Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of February 29th, 2024.
In almost any other normal year, it would have been March the 1st.
Yeah, so we're saved from this being the longer version by one day. I say saved like that's some big issue.
Thing, yeah.
But the current character challenge is Teen Titans Raven. That is a 1 week repeat. The required characters for the challenge are Killer Frost, Scorpion, and Hawk Girl. And they're all challenge golds.
Yeah.
So they're all, I wouldn't say unlikely to have, right? Because it really depends on where you are in your personal collecting journey. But they're about as hard as it gets, right? To have them.
For requirements, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were saying just before we started filming that you were saying maybe it's not worth it. The problem is Teen Titans Raven is amazing.
Yeah, so her passive is Demonic Embrace, which is special attacks have a chance to drain 25% health and power, and Raven receives all health and power that has been drained. She has 1,400 attack, 1,200 health, and was last available on the 4th of May of last year, 2023.
All right, so she's got good high stats. The 25% drain of health in her passive is better than other percentages of health drain that you usually get because it's a percentage of the max health, not the current health. So, for example, point of comparison is Cassandra K. Batgirl. She gets 25% of current health. So that means with Teen Titans Raven's passive, you can knock out the opponent.
Yeah, and passive. It stays equally good no matter how late into the fight you're using it.
Right. So the estimate is maybe about a 25% chance of that happening on Special 1, 50% chance of it happening on Special 2. And after playing with her a lot, she is tied with Rebirth Raven as our favorite Raven skin.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's not that impressive. There's only 4 Raven skins.
But it is impressive because Ravens are frequently really interesting, fun, good skins.
Right. She's tier S on multiplayer. So people often look at stats and passive and decide on the character based on that. In the case of Teen Titans Raven, it's the not so obvious parts that make her really good and matter the most. So 1, her Special 2 has multiple hits that have enough pauses in between them that it can track across more than one opponent, meaning you can knock out one opponent and still have hits left over for the next one. And her stats are high enough that the direct damage of her Special 2, if she's on a team that is relatively balanced, where she's not particularly weak, the direct damage of her Special 2 can sometimes knock out 2 opponents at full health. But even if it only gives, a few love taps to the second opponent, her passive kicks in after completing her Special 2, so it can steal power and drain enough health to knock out the second.
Mm-hmm.
So if her passive is what knocks out the opponent, the problem, or I guess the downside, is that it doesn't count towards power recovery that you get with Tantu Totem.
Mm-hmm.
It also won't protect you from the opponent's tag-in the way that being in the middle of your Special 2 will, meaning that if there's a tag-in effect like Rebirth Raven on the opponent stealing your health, stealing your power, she can still do that. But then your passive can hit her, which is kind of cool. The other implication of the passive not counting as part of the special, if the Special 2 doesn't do any damage, for example, if, say, all the hits of her Special 2 are negated by Astral Harnesses and Vulnerability, but then the passive kicks in and drains the opponent's health, you still get your power back.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen that often. It's hard to plan for it, but it's pretty kind of fun, and it's a nice bonus. So the other not so obvious thing is that her Special 2, the first hit is ranged. So some cards have a problem with Master's Death card. The multiple hits that come on tag and generate power, but they also shove the opponent back a bit, meaning that a special with limited range can miss if your timing is wrong. And the most egregious example to me is Bounty Hunter Lobo, because I love Lobo. Bounty Hunter Lobo's got a great passive that ties into Special 2, but you cannot get the most out of it to land it unblocked if Master's Death card is doing the smacks on the opponent, right? Because it's shoving them too far back, and you lose a big chunk of the damage from a Special 2. One other interesting thing about Teen Titans Raven Special 2 is she can also avoid Raven Prime's health swap. There's going to be an example actually in the footage here that despite it being a multi-hit Special 2, most of the hits will not trigger the health swap. There might be one. Most of the time it just never does. And you can see that because one of the hits brings Raven Prime's health down to 0, and she doesn't swap health with us.
Mm-hmm.
So the team that you're seeing now is that it's got Red Lantern Hal Jordan. The reason for that is Rebirth Raven is not as good of a teammate when Teen Titans Raven is going to be sometimes stealing the opponent's power, meaning that those times she's stealing the power, Rebirth Raven won't be able to steal it.
Mm-hmm.
So that improves the value of Hal Jordan having power all the time and being able to shatter gears. Makes it more valuable.
Yeah.
And I guess the last thing I want to mention about Teen Titans Raven is that when you tag in with Master's Death Cart and Tantu Totem, and you're basically one hit shy of getting your second bar of power if there's no power dampening, her tap combo is better than her swipe combo, which is unusual. It's counterintuitive to me because swipe hits generally have a slightly longer range, and it's also true in Raven's case, but it might be that her swipe hit shoves the opponent a bit, just enough that sometimes only the first hit makes contact, whereas if you do the tap combo, it's more often that you'll follow through and finish, and even get the combo ender.
Yeah, so there we go. Based off of the challenge character cycle, we expect next week to be New 52 Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
The current character, the current multiplayer award, not character challenge, is Rebirth Wally West, aka Wally West the Flash, because he's a Flash character.
Right.
Even though it doesn't say the Flash anywhere in his actual name, you can tell by the way he looks and everything else about him that he clearly is.
Right.
And the fact that his 10% boost cards all apply based on the Flash. His ability is Speed Force Merge, which is chance to dodge any special attack and then counterattack for large damage. If teamed up with Rebirth characters or Flash characters, the chance goes up, and Rebirth characters also receive a power generation boost. He's got 1,350 attack and 1,300 health. Based off of the multiplayer reward cycle, we expected next week to be the Gauntlets, which become the Gauntlets of Azrael, and Rebirth Wally West was last available on the 27th of July of last year, 2023.
Right. So, all right, let's go with the obvious first. Good high stats.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. He's got fast basic attacks like all the Flashes. And the most important part of his passive is dodging specials. He can still dodge when stunned, which is better than the other main example, which is Dawn of Justice Batman, who, if stunned, will just sit there and take it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great potential counter against cards that stun on tagging, especially if they're geared to increase damage against stunned, because you've got some protection against specials, and basics are less likely to knock you out in one combo.
Mm-hmm.
He's still not a perfect counter against Tantu Totem because, well, it's Tantu Totem, right? They'll get their power back, but none of the special dodgers have been great since Tantu Totem arrived. They used to be, I mean, that kind of passive used to be just way more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you do a little bit of damage if your passive triggers. This is as opposed to, say, a Mother Box, where you just dodge and then you're back, and then you're ready to take the hit when they get their power back from Tantu Totem.
Mm-hmm.
With a full Rebirth or Flash team, it triggers about half the time, his passive.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, like, I'm no secret, right? In general, I like to use Flashes as basic damage dealers. Wally West is no different. He's not so good as a special specialist, since his special 2 damage is reduced by half of what it should be for his given damage stat for the power drain effect.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks. So his passive makes him tanky, but he's not a great tank. And in the current meta with Tantu Totem, there's not really as much need for a basic damage dealer. And I think he's maybe a better special specialist if you primarily use a special 1. And we might eventually have a demo when we get through our challenge character demonstrations, but I feel like there was another Flash skin. Was it Earth 2 Flash? Where we did that, where we used a special 1 as the special for the special specialist, and it was actually pretty decently effective. And, I mean, the passive gives you the option, right, of Rebirth or Flash to really unlock his passive. And I think maybe a Rebirth team is better than a full Flash team to max it out, because we've shown with our static team, Rebirth Raven is great as a secondary special specialist, plus as protection for your team against specials by draining power. Mm-hmm. So whichever other Rebirth team member, in this case Wally West, is teamed up with her, they can be your primary special specialist.
Yeah, so not bad. Moving on.
Oh, you know what I forgot? Sorry, I want to jump all the way back to Teen Titans Raven.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, at around, just now, you'll get to see how powerful her special 2 is when Batman Ninja Batman is last man standing, and one special 2 is enough to knock him out, despite his passive cutting our damage in half.
Mm-hmm.
The timing was just right. It was just now.
So there we go. Moving on to the store, we don't have any particular pack indicating sort of being our second piece of information for next week's challenge.
Right.
We don't actually really have... Well, we have one new pack of the character bundle Arkham Allies, because we have the second week of our Femme Fatale pack.
Yep.
Which, again, like we've talked about before, it's a pretty decent deal, right? As
Yep.
far as it goes. If you're trying to spend money on a pack, it's pretty good.
It's a pack with really good synergy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have character bundle Arkham Allies. That's for $24.99 Canadian. All prices in Canadian because that's the information that we have access to.
That's the only currency that matters.
Yeah. You didn't say that one week, and then somebody
Called
you on it, which is funny. It's our first indication that somebody other than us finds that joke funny.
I love it.
Which is nice.
It's not even a joke. It's real.
Yeah, sure. And that comes with Reverse Flash, Metahuman the Flash.
Oh, sorry, that was wrong. The notes are wrong. It's
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that's the Flash pack. Never mind.
Yeah, that was last week's Flash pack. So this week, the character bundle Arkham Allies is Arkham Knight Catwoman, Arkham Knight Batman. So this is your opportunity for $24.99 to get your first copy of Arkham Knight Batman.
Yeah.
So that you can potentially unlock them and get them in Phantom Zone and some of the packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the opposite of how the packs normally work, where you kind of do unlock him a little bit by purchasing.
But unlock them in a really weak way, not like you would with a challenge where you can end up promoting them directly. But it unlocks them in a very, very sort of low probability opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. Moving on to...
Survivor Pack. That was actually the other
true.
interesting thing. So there's currently a Survivor Pack with Killer Frost, Wonder Woman 600, and Killer Frost Regime for $595K. So there's been sort of a bit of a pattern. It feels like it'll probably be what's happened is there's sort of a cycle of Survivor Packs that come up infrequently enough that you can easily forget that there's a pattern. But if it follows what's happened before, I think there's a decent chance that in another month, next month, we will see another Survivor Pack that's got Arkham Origins, Deathstroke, Batgirl, and Containment Doomsday. Yeah. A bunch of other packs that have been there for a couple of years, so not worth mentioning. Phantom Zone is finished.
Yep.
Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was, as expected, Raven, Superman, and the Arkham Knight. This coming weekend is probably going to be Killer Croc, Harley Quinn, and Martian Manhunter. There's a link in the description to a thread in the Injustice Mobile subreddit from Devlin16 that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. Link in the description. And this is where we normally talk about current glitches. If something changes.
If it was any day other than the 29th, if it was not a leap year, we would be doing a sort of complete breakdown of all of the extra glitch information and what's working and not working.
Because we do that once a month at the beginning of the month. The first week, the most recent first week was February the 1st.
Yeah.
And February is lingering longer than it normally does.
So the only sort of important thing that we'll mention is that the Challenge Reset glitch has been confirmed to be working on this week's Teen Titans Raven challenge. And even when Phantom Zone's not around, you should always remember that resetting your progress on either will reset the progress on both. So just somewhere in the back of your head, even if it's not up, think, do I want to reset Phantom Zone progress right now when you're doing either glitch?
Right.
Yeah. So there you go. And to finish up this week, we'd like to give a huge thank you to our lovely patrons on Patreon. That is Michael Devries, Irvin, Ruiz, Hoshi127, and Nora Klimek, who are supporting us on the credited level. The name scrolling past to support us at some point during the pandemic. Thank you so much for your support, and thanks so much to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.